Welcome everyone. You are listening to and perhaps watching the 2018 Hall of Fame inductions in FPF. I'm your host, Peeze and Rob. I'm joined by Commissioner Rob Campana and by producer Eagle Master Control. Today we have a treat for you. We have a non-player inductee, Rob. I would say he falls under the referee class.
This is the referee
This is
category.
the referee class. So the 2018 inductee in the referee category is...
Referee Stephen Hodhod was voted in by
Stephen
his...
Q. Hodhod, I believe.
Was voted in by his fellow officials and by the FPF staff this year. So congratulations, Stephen. He's been an official with us, Paulo, since 2012.
Mm-hmm.
He also actually used to play in the league as well previously.
Former teammate of mine.
Yeah. So and
Eagles.
And so that's it. I mean, Stephen, what can we say about him as a player? I don't know if there's... How would you describe him as an official to the FPF community?
Well, I have three stories. I have as a player, as a referee, and as a person outside of FPF. Which one do you want first?
Start with a player.
Player.
Let's go chronologically.
So it's not chronologically, actually.
Okay.
So let's start as a player. He was a member of the Pocket Watch team, the defensive mastermind. He really always has a feel for what the opposing offense wants to do. He's probably a guy who's never going to get credit for his knowledge of the game and for his ability on defense, but a very good defensive player. That said, I still remember he came in on offense due to injury or absence or OC or whatever the reason was. And I told him, so you can run a slant and it's coming to you. And he immediately dropped the first pass that was ever thrown to him by me. So we're 0-1. We haven't connected that way. But where you don't connect in FPF, you connect in other ways. First time I met him was actually in a recreational Cosm hockey. Is that the thing? Not field hockey. Floor hockey.
Floor hockey.
That's the one. I'm sorry, man. I got old terminology. Floor hockey game. We just were... bunch of teachers and people that worked in the education sector that wanted to blow off some steam, and we had a good time. It was fun. And then I saw him refereeing a game not long after that, and I said, "Hey, I know you." And he turned to me while refereeing and was like, "Oh, hey, how's it going?" and so on. And it was really nice to see him, and really good person, a really good referee. Always keeps us cool. Knowledge of the game is excellent. And on top of that, what I love, and I think a lot of players do love about Stephen Hodhod, is he's the kind of guy, because he was a player, he understands sometimes a player needs to vent. And a player's going to, sort of have a moment. He'll let the opponent breathe. He'll let him say what he has to say. He'll often warn you, look, if you're going too far, and he won't get walked on either. So he's got a good balance of that. That's something that's very difficult for referees to do. But I think his background as a player has really helped him capture that. And his ability to control the game and make sure it doesn't get out of hand and really, truly and earnestly apply rules in the fairest way possible, I think, is what got him here as a referee in the Hall of Fame. Yeah,
and very well said, Paulo. And if you think about Stephen as an official, a lot of the guys who do FPF games on a regular basis are guys with a ton of tackle football experience, guys who've refed at the highest level in U Sports, formerly CIS football, some CFL guys. Whereas Stephen kind of, when he joined the FPF ranks as an official, didn't really have much tackle football experience. So he kind of grew as an official, because he is as well an outdoor tackle football official. But he kind of grew into the referee stripes as an FPF official. And as you mentioned, being a former player, I think that kind of gave him an advantage where he really understood the game, understood the nuances of the sport, things like flag guarding, the subtle things that sometimes are a little difficult to grab. And like you said, I think from a communication standpoint, really one of the most well-liked officials by his peers, by players, by us on the staff. Also the head of the FPF disciplinary committee. So, besides the fact that he was voted in as an official, I personally appreciate all that Stephen does for FPF, in the... behind the curtains, as Paul
it lets us know that for players to vote in.
Well, this vote was only staff.
It was only staff.
It was only staff and
so for
fellow officials.
For people to vote in a guy from the hated disciplinary committee, it's definitely nice to see. Eagle, you have a.
Yeah, so just
comment.
one thing. When we introduced instant replay for the finals, it's actually with Steven that we worked on to try and figure out the process behind it. And he was the first official in the booth to help with those replays. And it's interesting because during those games, he would actually make it a priority to review other plays that were not being challenged just to make sure that the call was done correctly. And if not, would actually jot it down and speak to that official after the game saying, hey, in this one over here on replay, we noticed XYZ, and helped basically improve positioning and the way basically the game is being refereed. So kudos to him for taking an opportunity and turning it into a great learning experience.
And definitely his knowledge was proven to be more accurate than Chris Collinsworth. So thank you everyone for joining us. Thank you, Rob, for joining me today and providing your insight. Eagle, thanks for pressing them buttons. And for all of those watching, thanks for watching.